Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. I'm one of the hosts of this show today. And our show is the United Kingdom News and Culture Updates on the Royal Family as well, episode 80. So let me welcome the rest of our team. Joining me is the star of our show, DIANN FLOYD BOEHM. Welcome, DIANN.
It's great to be here, Dr. Jacalyn. I can't believe we're doing show number 80. That's so exciting.
Yes, it sure is. It's very exciting. And I'm excited to welcome our expert correspondents from the United Kingdom. Let us welcome Mr. Simon MacDonald. Welcome to the show. Hello.
Hello again. I mean, this is it. 80. Happy birthday. I should have had a big cake here today, I think. So, yes, it's an incredible journey that we've been on through. 80 episodes. Who would have believed it? Amazing. Lovely to be back again. It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. Absolutely. Let's welcome the beautiful, the dashing, the phenomenal HELENA CHARD.
Welcome. Oh, you're too kind. Lovely to see everybody. 80. I can't believe it. I'm so excited.
I am
definitely
too.
Party time.
What are we going to do when we get to 100 episodes? That'll be pretty amazing as well. We'll have to have an in-person celebration.
I think so. It's about time. Absolutely. Look forward to it, as always.
I do too. So I'm excited that I know we have some news and some updates. I think it's still silly season. Is that right, Helena?
Oh, it's still silly season. It really is silly season. But there is news. There's lots going on. It is silly season. I'll tell you why, because Fox News contacted me today and wanted to know the update on this £700 tip that Kate Middleton had left. So she's been spotted out and about at a festival, and because she lives at this point, it's sort of holiday season, and that's why we call it the silly season. So basically, media grabs at straws to bring any kind of news. So as we know, they live at this time. It's Anma House is their house in Norfolk, near Holcombe Beach, that beautiful Holcombe Beach, where lots of movies are shot. And we have once or a few times shown that beautiful, beautiful movie of all the royal horses who also go to Holcombe Beach to have their summer holiday. But anyway, so Princess Kate and her friend Rose Hanbury, who live on Houghton, sort of on the grounds in Houghton Hall, were seen attending a music festival. It's now sort of got to the point that people are saying, oh, Princess Kate, she's attended this rave, what's she been doing? It's actually a 24-hour music festival, and it's an incredibly posh music festival, I have to say. And it's live on the Houghton Hall estate, Houghton estate. And they live nearby, and obviously her friend Rose Hanbury lives there too. But she happened to be having dinner, and it sort of came up. Let's go for a little while and watch the bands play, etc. And I think it was a bit of a worrying time for Princess of Wales, Kate, because she suddenly thought, oh my goodness. So she sat and spoke to security, and they thought it would be fine. So she had lots of plainclothes people with her. And she was seen drinking martinis and having a wonderful time. But, Fox News wanted to know about this £700 tip that was left. which I just think, really, is that news? I mean, I know I'm sharing it with you, but it's like silly season, and obviously, if she's in a group, it's not. I can't imagine the Princess of Wales has run up with £700 to leave this tip, but so that's the story at the moment, and she was spotted, and I hope she had a good time. I really do. It's one of those things that's held once a year, and it's a 24-hour, literally non-stop music festival. So that's something. And I mean, there's a lot of royal bits and pieces going around. I mean, as we know, it's coming up to the first year of our wonderful Queen Elizabeth's passing, and shortly people will be travelling to Balmoral, not necessarily to Balmoral traditional castle where the late Queen Elizabeth stayed and everyone used to congregate, but I know that King Charles, Queen Camilla are going to be at Birkhall, which is his favourite place, and people are going to be joining them in dribs and drabs shortly. And I think today actually is the last day that Balmoral's open, because it was extended to the public to go and enjoy the grounds and just have fun, because it really is a beautiful, stunning place. So actually that estate was bought by Prince Albert, so it really is a private estate. So that's what's been going on. I also think as well, it's just a little tidbit that I have learned, is that the Royal Standard flag, as we know, flies on Buckingham Palace, and we always know when the King's on site, as you see it, obviously flying. But now Clarence House, which is where Charles and Camilla have lived and still do, which is quite close to Buckingham Palace, apparently now it's treated as one estate, which I find bizarre. So it could, when the flag is flying, they actually could be in Clarence House. I don't know whether that's because there's building works going on, but I found that quite interesting, that they're making a few places like into one estate. And another thing that everyone's been talking about over the silly season, although I don't think this is silly necessarily, is royal tartan. And I know this is something we've discussed as well previously, but just royal tartan and how people absolutely love tartan. I think it's a love it or hate it situation. And obviously King Charles loves his Balmoral tartan that he wears. But his son, future King William, doesn't. He doesn't like tartan at all. And I think you can only wear the Balmoral tartan if you are royal, or if you're the King's Piper. And it's beautiful. I don't know if you remember the colour of it. It's this beautiful sort of, it's almost got like a duck egg blue in it. But the last picture, the last lovely photograph that we saw of the late Queen Elizabeth, when she met Liz Truss, she was wearing that beautiful kilt as well. That was the last time we saw her. And so do you love tartan? Do you hate tartan? I know that years ago as well, there's Royal Stuart tartan, which is quite red, and I think it was sort of Queen Victoria time, and I think the royals wanted to use that as their main tartan, but it was just so loved by everybody, that it didn't happen. And then you've got the Strathern tartan, which I'm sure Simon knows more about. And sometimes we've seen Kate wearing this, which is like a lovely sort of little scarf that she'll wear. They used to be known as the Earl and Countess of Strathern, I think. So there we go. But I mean, I'll pause for breath, I think. But it's just, I think it's an interesting one. Do you love tartan? Do you wear tartan? I'd love to know everyone's views.
Well,
sounds like a great name for a new TV show. Do you love tartan?
Do you love tartan? Woo!
Let's see what DIANN thinks.
Actually, I was waiting to hear what Simon had to say, but I've never worn one. So I would be part of a silly person wearing it, because I understand they're supposed to be very heavy, 9 yards. I think Simon taught us once. And I thought maybe if I wore 9 yards of material, I could get slimmer hips. Sorry.
Thanks, DIANN. Let's see what Simon thinks.
Right. The history of tartan, I mean, it goes back hundreds of years, and every Scottish clan has its own tartan, and even a variety of tartans as well. So there's the dress tartan, which in the case of Royal Stuart is that very, very bright red basic tartan. But there's several different ones. There's the hunting Stuart, the ancient Stuart, and so on, which different degrees of brightness, shall we say. But that dates back to the House of Stuart, when King James I of England was actually King James VI of Scotland. So so there's it's a nice bit of synergy going on there. So each clan is very proud of their tartan because it identifies them from the next person. It is there is a meaning to each tartan as well. The colours are very much generally based on the landscape around their lands, and there's sort of cryptic messages as well in there with some of the colour as well to victories they've had or occasions they've had or whatever. So it is a fascinating history. I mean, there are literally thousands of different tartans, but heaven help me if I ever went out wearing a Campbell tartan. I mean, it just will not happen. Campbell's and McDonald's were not the best of pals, shall we say, and ditto McLeod's, and actually I could list off quite a few, I think, but each clan was always at war with another one back in the day, as they would say. So yeah, tartans, there's a lot of protocol attached to them as well. So the Balmoral tartan can only be worn by members of the royal family. I believe the royal piper is allowed to wear it, but I'm not 100% certain on that, but I understand that is the case. So, I mean, my tartan is, is MacDonald of Clanranald and Moira. So that is specific against the other MacDonalds, MacDonald's of Sleat, and MacDonald's of the Isles, and so on. Highly complex thing. We could have a whole day of show just based around tartan. So love it or loathe it, it's there. So I'm entitled to wear my MacDonald of Clanranald, but I'm also entitled to wear the Black Watch tartan, because that was the regimental tartan of a regiment my father was in during the war. So I, as a descendant, am allowed to wear that tartan as well. And I have a Black Watch kilt in addition to my own one.
That's really interesting. And a question I have is, this probably is ridiculous, but can you make your own tartans? I know Diane's got a sewing machine and she's looking to do some projects. Could she make tartans for all of us? Or do you have to get them in a certain place?
Your own tartan, the pattern of tartan, is something which gets registered and to make the tartan official. Otherwise, it can't be called a tartan. It's just it's a pattern or a check pattern, if you like. When Diane made reference there to the 9 yards, the full 9 yards, that is the amount of material that goes into making a kilt. So with all the pleats, they're so so closely bound at the back that you can never actually lift a kilt up and see what's underneath it, because when you do it, you just get a handful of these pleats and it all cascades down like a curtain, and so the crown jewels and the history are all hidden from sight.
Well, we're not going to ask for show and tell, but another episode. Diane, anything you wanted to share about your great ability to sew tartan?
No, I would not be able to do that. But I have a dumb question. So there's a difference between a kilt and a tartan? For us Americans, we don't see those a lot. We carry our flags.
Yep, there is. A kilt is an item of clothing, but tartan can be worn on the kilt, can be worn on the trews, which is the trousers. They call them trews, are in tartan, or the plaid, which goes over the shoulder, which the heritage of that dates back to being really a blanket that shepherds would wear and keep them warm when they're out on the hill. The original kilt was not the type which you buckle round the waist that we do today. The original kilt was actually just a huge, big square of cloth, and you would lie it out flat on the ground and bunch it in on each side, lie back on it, and with a belt strapped round it, and then you stand up, it all just falls into place, and you tuck the long end in over your shoulder, and that's it. So the original kilt was just that. You do occasionally see people wearing the traditional kilt, but very, very, very seldom, because there's not many people know how to put it on, or even what it actually looks like. So if you want that, you've got to watch the series of Outlander, and you'll get a pretty good idea of what that's all about. But the kilt, as you see it worn today, is really quite a modern invention. It really goes back to about Victorian times, and that was it. Prior to Victorian era, which is middle 1800s to the end of the 1800s. Prior to that, then it was the traditional big square piece of cloth you did, and that was effectively the home of a shepherd when he was out in the hills, or a drover who's driving cattle to market, or stealing the cattle from somebody else and driving them home over the hills for days. And so they would effectively live in that. It would form shelter when conditions got too bad. It was a blanket, so they'd wrap themselves up in it and go to sleep in it. And then it was day wear as well to protect the modesty.
Sounds like an all-in-one.
It's absolutely it's an incredibly practical thing to wear. I mean, I love wearing my kilt, and on a cold day, well, that amount of material, it keeps you nice and warm. But on a real hot day, well, it's got natural air conditioning. I mean, what more could you ask for?
That's perfect. Thanks for sharing that. I know that you, Helena, and Simon both have different subjects that you want to bring up today as well. So let me go over to Helena.
Well, I actually was going to move on again to do with the silly season, because again, we know it's a silly season because there's lots of news about Harry and Meghan that keeps flying around, and stories that Kate, Princess Kate, is ringing Harry late at night, giving him pep talks, and absolutely ridiculous. This is absolute nonsense. So please don't believe this. This is certainly just wouldn't happen. And there's lots of news as well. The one thing is the royal family has, you can see their catalogue of things that they do throughout the year. And one thing that I've noted is that it almost seems that when Prince William is about to do something, or be in this event, or I don't know what it might be, or a charity event, etc., in a different country, it's planned and in advance, and you sort of can see this trickle that Prince Harry ends up in the country that William is going to be in. So that's a really funny situation. But I think as well, there's been talk about this new, are they coming back? Are they plotting this Hollywood comeback? And there's a book I think the rights of this book, Carly Fortune wrote it, Meet Me at the Lake. Now it seems that Harry and Meghan want to produce this movie, as it's very similar to their lives. So it's almost like a rom-com. It's going to be, there's so much similar to their lives. It's quite amazing. There's even a parent that's killed in a car crash. So it's slightly disturbing. I think Prince William is worried about it. But, thinking about it, they've set the bar so high for themselves because they wanted to leave and they wanted to earn lots of money and do it outside the royal family. And now, obviously, certain things have gone wrong, but they have to keep trying. And if they hadn't have set the bar so high, which is an interesting one in life, I think, as well, when you think about yourself, they wouldn't have to do that. So it's interesting because it was said that they bought the rights, which cost $3 million. But in fact, it was Netflix that bought the rights. And they are going to let, Harry and Meghan produce this movie through their Archie Wells production arm. So I do find that interesting, but also quite clever, because if they didn't come up with the goods, it does mean that obviously they can take it back and someone else could produce it. So I don't know. There was a slither of hope, that things may change and come back to normal, or they could all work together. But I think, I'm not sure when that's going to happen. It won't happen anytime soon. There was also talk of them renting a Kensington Palace apartment, said an insider. But I don't know. I'm not too sure. But anyway, so there's lots of talk like that. But it does make me laugh when I see, just prior to Prince William's events that he's going to, you see that Harry's in that same area just before. But I suppose from a PR point of view, is that clever? I guess it is. But yes, I think there's one thing that I wanted to talk to, which is it's a story. It's a lovely story in essence, but the reason behind this, I find quite disturbing in a way. And speaking to friends and family who have young children, it's quite common now that young children here in the UK are really struggling with their reading. There's lots of children that leave primary school that actually can't read. And when I heard that, I was it really upset me. I mean, I love reading, and I could read from a very early age. And to think that people are leaving primary school, and not able to read. Anyway, and obviously what with COVID and everything, it impacted hugely over a few years. But there's a small charity called Bookmark Reading Charity. It's a very simple charity, very small. And I got to know about it by reading a very sweet article about a former teacher who is 91, and she now is helping children to read from her home, from her living room. So it's done via, I'm not too sure, by Skype or an online way of speaking, and helping lots of younger children. The children are learning so well. She particularly absolutely loves it. It gives her purpose, and she still has relationships with the children that she's teaching to read, and I think it's beautiful. So they're putting out to everybody, if you have some time, valuable time, please help. Our young children need help, and I just think it's lovely. So it can be absolutely anybody who wants to help that can contact the charity. We do have a little video. It's a simple video, but I think it cements this problem that we have. And that anyone, if they could give their time, it would be really worth it. So hopefully, Jacalyn, Dr. Jacalyn, we have the video to roll with.
Feeling lost? Daisy is too. If you don't learn to read properly, it can have a huge effect on how you make sense of the world and what you can achieve in life. Give a little of your time to help a child to read, and you'll help them make sense of more than just words. Bookmark. Change a child's story.
Wow, that's really powerful. When you see those blank slates and you see the eyes not even able to focus on anything, I'm really glad that Helena shared that. I think she is frozen at the moment. Simon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly powerful, that, in particular, when suddenly the words are there, but the letters are all jumbled up. You think, oh, wow, that drives the message across really hard. It's just almost unthinkable that in this day and age that children should be leaving primary school unable to read. It just seems almost impossible, certainly unacceptable.
It's definitely devastating. Let's hear from DIANN about what your thoughts are.
I have so many thoughts as a former classroom teacher and teaching reading. in some ways, I'm not surprised. It's also here in the United States. At first, many of us educators were worried that kids were texting so much that their spelling, when they didn't, they'd get mad at their teacher that they couldn't use spell ARE just R, or YOUR just UR. And that became a real problem in the classroom, much less going to the fact that kids watch so much TV and or play games or whatever, that they're not reading for enjoyment. And also we have the audiobooks, which also takes away from developing reading skills. And all of that has a major impact, I think, into where we are today with young kids not able to read at the level that they were expected to read in the former days. And in many ways, we saw this coming, not just for this generation, but I remember teaching, and I had 8th graders look at letters that were written by 16-year-olds during the United States Civil War, and the vocabulary was huge. And the young kids in 8th grade, who are generally around 13, they were blown away by the vocabulary because they were always getting the dictionary and looking up these words and said, how can these kids know how to write like this? And it was because we taught kids vocabulary. We taught them the meaning of larger words. And here in the United States, anyway, there's been many books about dumbing down the United States children through not teaching them to read, not expecting them to have higher vocabulary. But I really thought that was just happening in our own country. I didn't realize some of this, and it makes sense, of course, that some of the same things were going on in other countries as well. So I'm very sad about that, very sad.
Yeah, Helena's back. Hi, Helena.
Hey,
Welcome back.
I lost you. That's interesting. I did catch what Diane was saying. That was really interesting. But yeah, it's one of these things that's happening in our country, which I never thought I'd hear it. But there you go.
It's incredible to me with all of the technology that we have, and now, of course, artificial intelligence, that I guess the dependence on these devices or the accessibility of these devices has really had a major impact on children's ability to read. There's so many distractions and so many shortcuts and slang. But I would think that in this day and age, we would have solutions for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a bit of a two-edged sword, with the laptops and mobile phones in particular. I mean, the mobile phone is taking over absolutely everything because you can get your emails on it, you can see movies on it, you can do everything under the sun, text and WhatsApps and all the rest of it, and Twitter or whatever it's called this week. All these things, and you can even actually make a phone call on it. And I think a lot of people have almost lost sight of that now. And they say, phone call, why? When you can text. But it's the language that's built up around texting now, because in today's rush, everybody is abbreviating things. So spelling has gone out the window. And as Dan said, that UR is done the letter U and the letter R rather than YOU and ARE. So all the abbreviation now is actually creating its own form of illiteracy. And then people like us who are used to opening a book and reading the accepted and correct spelling are becoming illiterate to this new language that's sprung up as well through abbreviating everything on text and so on. So that's my views of it. It's getting a bit complex, isn't it?
Thank you so much, Simon. And Helena, thanks so much for sharing that video.
That's good. Can I just say one thing, if that's okay? I'm not too sure whether it was brought up, but I was sort of fairly alarmed. I spoke to my nephew. He doesn't live in this country, and we were talking about writing essays and things like that, because obviously years ago, literally years ago for me, you know, you'd spend such a long time like, researching, and you'd write these essays and everything. And obviously, you need to be able to read and write. And I was talking to him about education. He is going to be 18 very soon. And he said, no, you know, you can get the AI bots, you know, app bots or whatever they are to write essays now. But it seemed that it was an everyday thing, that this is what you could do if you had to write an essay for school or whatever it is. You can literally give it to this AI bot or app or whatever it is, and there you go, it's produced in minutes. Well, that is I see that, you know, somewhere along the line as a positive, but actually, you know, how do you learn when you can just call on something that can just bring up a perfect essay? I don't know what people's thoughts are.
Yeah, I think that there may be some kind of answer that we're going to hear from our lovely DIANN.
Oh, yes. I have deep thoughts. How much time do you guys have? Yes, chat box, AIs, and so forth, they have a purpose, but not when it comes to learning. It's going to do a division. The kids who know and can qualify for a job because they know how to research, they have critical thinking skills, they have a high vocabulary, and they understand spelling. You're not going to hire any child in the future who becomes an adult to become a lawyer if he can or she can't write a proper paper or dissertation or contract for the person they're working for, much less become a political leader if they cannot describe properly what they're saying. And yes, it's great that the kiddos could do AIs, but teachers here, at least in the United States, the one I know, because we have these fun coffee conversations, they're trying to figure out a way to see if a child, or I should say a young student, is actually using an AI. And of course, they know they're kids. So if all of a sudden they're using a vocabulary word that does not fit with the profile of the child as he's speaking in school, then there's major consequences. And I think that's one way they're going to deal with it. So that's my little pet peeve box for the moment.
Thanks so much, DIANN. I just wondered if there's any way of controlling during the classroom time, controlling whether or not students are accessing artificial intelligence on their devices, ChatGPT or some apps or something.
Well, that's a great question because in some schools, they're allowed to have their phone with them. But I know if I was back in a classroom, which I never will be because of all the silliness that goes on in schools now, they would have to put their phones on my desk while we're talking, because I know that just think about it. When we were young, and I know you're 10 times younger than me, but you would, have that little sheet of paper kind of below underneath the desk, and you would just be writing and looking like you're paying attention, and glance down and write a little bit more and pass that note, right? Yeah, well, the same thing is going to happen when they put their phone on silence and be texting. So, yeah, teachers, beware.
No one's putting anything past DIANN, that's for sure. So don't even try it, kids. Don't try this at home or in school. So I love this conversation. Simon, I know that there's a topic you really wanted to speak about today as well. So let's go over to you.
Yes, this is an amazing story, which is born out of tragedy, really, but it's got a very happy ending at the moment. It's about a young boy, an 8-year-old boy called Tony Hudgall from England. And Tony, as a baby, was really badly abused. And by 41 days old, he had to have both his legs amputated. He'd been so badly abused. I mean, it was a horrific story. His natural parents were put away in jail for only 10 years. And really, that's far too lenient a sentence for the kind of abuse that went on. So this young boy. He's been adopted now, and he's been fitted with prosthetics, and he is just unbelievable. I mean, he is a serious inspiration. At 8 years old, he said, "Oh no, I'm going to crack this. I'm going to do something." And so he set about to raise money for the hospital, the children's hospital where he was based, and that's the HELENA Children's Hospital. And he wanted to raise £500 for them. So he put his mind to it. And with all the different events that he has done and fundraising things, he's actually raised over 1.7 or 1.8 million pounds now. So he's way over the £500 which he originally set out to do. Just recently, he decided he wanted to climb a mountain. So he went up the Lake District and climbed one of the mountains in the Lake District. He's done that. Now he wants to climb the highest mountain in England, Scafell Pike, again up in the Lake District. So that's his next challenge. Now this kid is extraordinary. He's been given the Pride of Britain Award, the British Citizen Youth Award, the UK Points of Light Award, which was given to him by the Prime Minister. He was invited to 10 Downing Street. And also on the back of this as well has been the introduction of Tony's Law. And Tony's Law now is to ensure that there are proper sentences, harsher sentences put on perpetrators of child abuse, because I mean it's a horrific thing. And this boy Tony has just really he's captured the imagination of the nation. I was watching him on television the other day, and he's just so full of life, so full of confidence, and life's just a breeze to him as well. And he's set up, or his parents have set up now the Tony Hudgell Foundation, and we've got a wee clip here of a movie from that, which will give you an idea of how this child works and plays and thinks, and how determined he really is. So if we could see that video, it is just extraordinary.
My old parents weren't very nice to me. Someone needs to do my top one, but I'll try.
Bad people aren't my type because they're bad and they're not very nice.
My organs wasn't working because of my injuries. Loads of fractures. I was only a tiny baby. I don't know why they did that to me.
I can't do a thumbs up, but this one I can.
They said I would never be able to walk or talk. I proved the doctors wrong. I raised over 1.7 million for the hospital who saved my life. My mum says I've got a fighting spirit. I have a broken leg.
Go on, you do it. You're nearly there.
Good boy. She says I survived for a reason. There's nothing I can't do. Now I want to help even more kids like me.
Nice! Thank you!
It's quite an incredible, so emotional that, I get welled up every time I see that video. It's quite extraordinary. He's got to be the bravest kid I think I've ever come across in my life. Absolutely amazing, a real inspiration. And that venture he had climbing the mountain, he said there's no mountain tall enough for him now. Now that he's done his first one. And he raised for 4 charities, including one which is very close to this station, and that's for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation in the UK. So he's just, he's a living inspiration. And he got his inspiration, he says, from Captain Sir Tom Moore, who we all remember in the COVID crisis, knocking on the door of 100 years old and decided to walk for charity in his garden, and he raised millions of pounds in doing this and became a great inspiration for us all. But Tony's grasped this one, and and really he's almost outshone Captain Sir Tom Moore. Absolutely amazing child. So as I say, the next one he's looking at now is Scafell Pike. So once he's done that, there's only one more to go, and that's Ben Nevis in Scotland, which is the highest one in the UK. And I have no doubt that he would be able to do that. I think when they televised and showed some of this climbing, which he did before, there were a lot of the adults and so on who were so out of breath by the time they got to the top of the mountain. And there's young Tony waving the flag up in the air like this. And, and he's just full of beans. He has the kind of energy that would, put a nuclear power station to shame. He really is quite a kid.
Wow, that's really moving. I feel very emotional myself, just thinking of how many blessings we all have, and then to see how hard he has to fight every day, and yet it's natural to him now, and he doesn't even complain about it.
No, he actually he turns it almost to an advantage to him as well. I mean, there he was. He said, "There's nothing I can't do," and I think if we all put our minds to it as well, there's nothing that we can't do. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. There is a way.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd love to have some fundraising tips from him, because I fundraise for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation and I can't get that kind of money. So it's fantastic. We're actually at the end of our show. Helena, is there anything else that you wanted to add in terms of news? Oh, she is frozen, sadly. So let's go around and just anything you want to share, something that's come up for you, or anything you want to leave the audience with today. Simon, we'll start with you.
Right. Well, actually, I had a phone call just earlier today as well, which left me speechless. Now, I mean, that doesn't happen very often. Last year, I won. In fact, you can just see it over my shoulder there. That blue and white award there. It's the Livewire Global Award, which I got for fisheries management. And I got a phone call today. So I said, "Oh, so you've been nominated for this award again." They said, "But I'm phoning up to tell you now that you've won it for the second year running." So I thought, and I still think when I hear that as well. So absolutely amazed. I've actually won this award the second year running. So I'm delighted, I'm honored, and I'm very humbled by the fact that somebody should take the effort and the time to contact these people and nominate me, and obviously gave me a very nice write-up for it, and I've been selected and for their top award. So it's just and at the moment, as far as I'm aware, I'm about the only person in Scotland that's won this award twice. So there we go. That's one of these things. But to round off, I think this week's quote has got to be quite applicable to what Tony Hadjill's going. And it's good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good is better and your better's best.
Wow. Congratulations, Simon. That's excellent for your winning the award. Helena's back. Well done.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I love that.
Came as a shock.
Well, we're very proud of you and very happy for you. Let's go over to Helena.
Gosh, what do we take from today? I think the same thing. It just really, anybody, and also been to see the Barbie movie recently as well. I mean, we can really go for anything that we want to, anything we want to do. We really should go for it, and do things with a lot of fun and with a happy heart. I'm actually going to see Spitting Image tonight, which is going to be fun. It's most famous to big puppet theatre, and I will report back next week. So that's me trying to have fun tonight, and I will share it with you next week.
Excellent. Enjoy yourself. It's fantastic. Okay, Diane.
All right. Congratulations again, Dr. Jacalyn, number 80. Congratulations to the whole team. And and I really feel so blessed to be with all of you. And Helena and Simon, what you bring to our show to make us wonderful people on the other side of the pond in America who love you very much, aware of what's going on. You just share so much, and I appreciate it. And I'm always learning. So y'all have fun, as Helena said, and have a blessed night. And I'll have fun working in the garden.
Thank you so much, Diane. And to just go along with what Diane said, I really appreciate our team here. And I'm interviewing people, I don't want to say every day, but let's say 3 days a week, people who are coming to this platform and want to join us. And it's really amazing the feedback that you get from people who are total strangers. They're referred by someone. So thank you for all the hard work that you put in, for all of your efforts. It's really showing up across the world. So that's my first announcement. My second announcement is we just had our first 2 shows go over to our partnership channel, E360 TV, A Woman's Prerogative, parts 1 and 2 on Mondays. So I'm just thrilled to invite all of our new followers. And then selfishly, I do have 2 plugs for myself. One is my latest book, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening, is available for pre-order on Amazon. I'd really appreciate if everybody out there, it's 99 cents here in the States. You can get it across the world. Help get this to be a #1 new release by placing your pre-order. This book has 2 quizzes in it. It has case studies, it has testimonials, and we have a foreword that is being written by somebody really special who is an expert when it comes to listening. So I'm not going to say who it is. And finally, thank you to Dr. Justina Mutali for inviting me to speak at the 2023 World Summit in Philadelphia, PA, USA. It's the World Summit on Women and Girls. So we will be speaking on topics that I'll be disclosing very soon. Other than that, remember to take a break, take some time for yourself. We all have difficulty doing this, including but we really do need to take a step back, breathe in, get out into nature and talk with friends and family and just say, hey, I really love you. I really appreciate you. So that's what I'm saying for today. Thank you so much. Our next show is coming up. It's Global Social Entrepreneurs. So stay tuned for that. And before we go, we do want to hear from the lovely, the beautiful, the talented Diann Floyd-Boehm. Bye, everyone. Stay tuned for Diann.
Bye.
Hello, I'm children's author Diann Floyd-Boehm, and I am co-host for several of the USA Global TV and radio shows. I joined because of the purpose of the USA Global TV and radio. They provide content for the viewers and listeners, an opportunity for people around the world to have their own show or even be a guest on an existing show. We truly believe in helping others get their positive message out to the world. We also have the opportunity for the listeners. You can watch on several platforms, and on YouTube, you can ask questions and even give a comment. We absolutely love it. I love being part of the USA Global TV and radio because I love positive messages. And who doesn't? And we need more of that in the world. We are a family, and we hope you will join us and become part of the family too.